Right behind us is the Roman bathhouse for the fort at Cramond. It was built in the 140s AD and then massively extended in the 3rd century when the Roman Emperor came here, because obviously he didn't want a small bathhouse and quite fancy a large posh one. But the really important part is that later on it was probably reused during the Dark Ages for some burials. When we found the site in 1975, the council did a whole series of excavations. During that, we found up to 9 adults in the latrine for the bathhouse, which I'm actually standing on right now. Most of the bathhouse actually extends beyond me to in front of me. But they thought at the time they were medieval, possibly plague burials, or from an epidemic date to the 13th, 14th century. But we managed to get some money to redate them, because one of the oddities is like, why were they buried here? Why do you actually get 9 adults and some newborns buried in a bathhouse in the base of the latrine? Even in the medieval period it was odd, because we're standing in the back gardens of the medieval village. So again, why would you bury your population in your back garden when literally 150 yards behind me is a perfectly good church, a nice big graveyard. It's not that far away. So when we got the dating, we thought, well, that could help explain it. But no, it didn't. It actually turned out to be 6th century burials, which made it even more extraordinary. But it's also important because it actually throws it out into a whole different period of understanding for Cramond, and also for Scotland itself, really get to power politics, because I think at the time we're getting tantalising glimpses of Roman material coming after when the Romans were supposed to lie in the 3rd century, getting late 3rd, 4th century material. So it's obviously looking like Cramond's a special place, a meeting place, almost a place where the Romans are coming here to maybe trade, but also do political negotiations. The other thing we have to think about at the time is the British inhabitants of Cramond were Christian. So at the time where a small kingdom was actually playing itself off between lots of different kingdoms at the time. So when you get an upstanding masonry building, one of the few in Scotland at the time, this associated with a special meeting place, you're seeing a site that's really quite important. So the question is, who are these people? Why are they being buried? Are we looking at possibly a small chapel site or for the local elites that are being buried here? Because they're not being just thrown in. When we reanalyse the burials, we're looking at them being buried in 2 phases. Some of them very carefully put in, and some of them actually, they've been heavily disturbed, but we think they've all been very carefully chosen. They're not just throwing in a pit, they're not being murdered or chucked in somewhere, because this building would have stood out. People would have noticed them being buried here. I think it's the key point. And then when we look at them forensically, we're seeing a mixed group, some locally, but also some of them have been brought in to the burials. One's been born in Skye, possibly even Cornwall, for instance. The other one's from Loch Lomond side. So they've been drawn here. They're not just arriving here. We've looked at isotopic analysis. We've managed to get Aberdeen University to do some analysis of the teeth, which is showing a bit about diet. It's the teeth in many time capsules using different variations and values of oxygen and strontium from the water and the soils. You can get a map that actually pins them down to certain geologies. And because certainly the first burial, their geology is very unique, specific, it can only come from about 4 small places in Britain. Now, it could come from anywhere in Europe or other places, but we think it's enough to say that this individual's travelled certainly from Skye. It's quite a signature. It's quite unique to that person. We have an exhibition on at the moment which will run to beginning of March next year about the Dark Age burials. We also got some of the material from our collections are actually on display here in the Maltings annually.